Warfront, the new album from WindRose, comes out on Friday, June 10th. But today, well, this one comes out, Fellows of the Hammer. It's a lyric video slash graphic representation of what they're doing. And speaking of representations, is anyone doing better Dwarven culture than WindRose right now? They're right up there with Lord of the Rings, Warcraft, and Warhammer. They're almost setting the standard. They're setting the standard. All right, these guys are from Pisa, Italy. Yeah, you remember when the only thing you knew about Pisa, Italy was that their tower was leaning over? But then now you realize, oh my God, WindRose is from there. There's a lot of things that WindRose is known for. They are known for a particular funny video a few years back, and then a dance remix of that funny video. And rather than go down the amazing road of Ailstorm, which they could have done, and there's nothing wrong with that, I love me some Ailstorm, this last video has a grit, a determination that we've seen a lot from bands post-COVID. Now we know that Italy was hit really hard by COVID, really hard. And during that time, apparently WindRose said, you know what? We're going to reinvent ourselves. Instead of just being a band that looks like a bunch of dwarves from Warhammer, Warcraft, the world of Tolkien, you name it, we are going to be the Dwarven fantasy characters that everyone wishes they had. I mean, come on, look at that. I mean, does anybody look more like a Dwarven king than Francesco Cavalieri? I don't think so. And it's no longer a funny song about digging holes and goblin DJs. It's about the epicness of so many different fantasy depictions of the race of dwarves. Now, when I say dwarf, I don't mean little person. Okay, please don't. That's a social construct. This is the fantasy race dwarves. Probably the most famous iterations of this would be the Lord of the Rings Gimli, played by John Rhys-Davies, Warhammer, and Warcraft, both of those putting forth their own styles of dwarf. I find that Francesco's iteration of it is kind of halfway between an Ironforge dwarf from Warcraft and a Warhammer dwarf lord riding the battle hog or whatever, you know? But these guys are owning this. And now it's no longer about the fact that, hey, did you know that your lead singer looks like a battle dwarf? No. They have elevated their music. The composition and arrangement and storytelling is right up there with the greats. Literally right up there. This is, I mean, the new album, Warfront, and even the last one, you know, Winter Saga, was great. But this one, every song they put out from this new album, it is on every tabletop, you know what I'm talking about, tabletop game nerds playlist. I could just imagine the snacks, the giant tabletop, Warhammer, Dungeons and Dragons, or even online playing World of Warcraft. I don't care what iteration that you have a battle dwarf playing something, you know this is playing in the background. This is WindRose. Fellows of the Hammer. My name is Old School Nerd. Check us out on oldschoolnerd.com. It's got all of our social media posts. The Patreon link for those who don't support the channel. We appreciate all of you. And the merchandise store. I don't think I'm ready for this, but it doesn't matter. We're going to do it anyway. I'm going to move my beard out of the way. Okay. I'm going to take this WindRose logo and I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. I'm going to scoot Napalm just a little bit higher. Let's get more dwarf in here, right? Right. All right, let's get this started. WindRose, Fellows of the Hammer. That axe is so epic. There it is. The battle boar. That's awesome. This is just an intro, man. That's crazy. Warfront. June 10th, baby. Now, before we get into this, before we start singing and we really get into this video, I want to stop and say this now, so that way I don't stop it at a worse time and piss more people off. But this might irritate a few people that I stopped it. But I just want to say, we've seen so much creative art and creation of Dwarven lore, whether it be through the works of Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings trilogy with Peter Jackson and what he did to create all of that. Blizzard with Warcraft. Come on, Ironforge and the dwarves and how they did all of that, and then the sub races of dwarves. Excellent job. Of course, Dwarven lore in Dungeons and Dragons is obviously evident. And then of course Warhammer. And there's other iterations, don't get me wrong. There's many, many different representations of dwarves. But lately, do you remember when WindRose was just a bunch of guys walking through a quarry, like the 7 dwarves from Snow White, just kind of walking around like they were going digging holes in the ground? They went from that to a special effects creative budget that allows them to really be at the forefront of the Dwarven lore. You could literally look at their videos and go, they're not just a band about being dwarves from fantasy fiction. Like, they're one of the best representations of that look. And their creativity, the artistry, whoever's doing their artistry, both in CGI, visual effects, and storyboards, and visual painting boards, like this one right here. Some people say, oh, well, they're getting that from Warhammer, or they're getting this from Warcraft, or they're getting this from Lord of the Rings, or Dungeons and Dragons, whatever the iteration is. Some of the stuff they're doing is uniquely them, and it is amazing. Like, some of the best stuff out there. Here's the best part. They're a really good band, too. The funny thing about it is that this video is not going to answer questions. This is going to make me have more questions. It's going to make it even worse. I'm going to want to know more about it. Maybe that's the whole idea. Let's get back into it. The band is amazing. The songs are much more refined. They used to be just heavy guitars and a lot of chanting, and it was a development stage. And I guess they took the time of COVID to really elevate what they were doing, not just visually, but musically as well. Their music is right on there. It's not just a catchy tune. And hey, our lead singer, when he puts on this helmet and these shoulder pads and holds up a giant battle axe, looks like a Dwarven king. Okay, we get that. We've said it enough. But do you you see any iteration that looks more like the legit thing that we all dream about as kids? I mean, for so long, our biggest example of what a dwarf would look like in real world situation was John Rhys Davies, and God bless him for what he did. But I mean, from a sheer cosplay representation of what a battle dwarf, mountain lord, forge master would look like, it's Francesco. I mean, there are people that look at him and go, God, I wish I could do that. Well, even if you had his pauldrons, his robes, his helm, and his axe, he just owns it. He's got the build, the look on his face, his beard, just everything about him screams dwarf forge master. The other thing is, I don't even think he's short. I need to ask him. See, I'm getting more questions. I knowing my luck, he's probably like 5'8". He's like, I'm not a dwarf. But man, he looks the part. It used to be people would take like images from Lord of the Rings or World of Warcraft or Warhammer, and they would like draw out like, I'm going to go to Comic-Con and I'm going to make a costume and I want to cosplay and I want it to look like this. There are literally people that are now looking at WindRose videos and going, I'm going to do that. And then when they look at it, they go, okay, I can't pull that off because it's that good. Whew, man. And the music is really good. So what I'm going to do is, now that we've gotten through the first chorus, let's enjoy the second verse and chorus. Let's get through most of this song because I know you guys come to see these things. I know I talk a lot and I'm sorry. So I'm just going to shut it down now and let's just enjoy the rest of this together. Okay? We'll ask questions after. Let's go. It's really good. If you know what the P and the R stand for, let me know in the description, please. See? I want to know. I have questions. I like that drum work. It's really good. So far, every song from this album, Warfront, has just been another step musically to the elevation of what WindRose has been trying to do. And let me just make myself a little bigger. Okay, a few things I want to cover. I have to give out my shout out. I would not have known who WindRose. I mean, eventually I would have found them because they're on Napalm Records. And when you put out music like this, if you follow bands like Ginger and Ailstorm, et cetera, you're going to run into these guys. You're just not going to be able to avoid it. But the reason why I found WindRose was a couple years ago when I first started YouTube. I had a friend of mine, Michael, in Portland, and he had 2 kids. And at the time, I didn't know he had 2 kids. I knew he had a daughter. And his daughter is a huge fan of Liliac. And he says, my daughter loves Liliac. Could you please do a reaction? So I did a reaction to Liliac, and that started me down that road of chaos, which has been awesome. But then after we did that, he made the comment, well, now her brother's going to be jealous. And I'm like, whoa, what do you mean her brother? Yeah, she has a brother. I said, well, okay, well, can I do a reaction for your son? He's like, yeah, his name is David. Okay, so what song does David want to hear? And he said, Diggy Diggy Hole by WindRose. And I went, what? Yeah, Diggy Diggy Hole by WindRose. And I went, okay. So we did that reaction because that young man in Oregon wanted to see it. Apparently, his 2 favorite bands are Ailstorm and WindRose. Yes, that Ailstorm. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all this, and it's important, is because I see a development in WindRose. Don't get me wrong, WindRose will always be known as the band that did the Diggy Diggy Hole song and the dance remix with pole dancers and a goblin DJ. And if I ever get a chance, I will ask Francesco whose freaking idea that was. But when I first discovered WindRose, they were in that comedic style of it's dwarfs, but we're having fun and we're drinking, and it's all about the mining and the drinking and right. And then Ailstorm is Ailstorm. But now I see WindRose in this new album. They've transitioned into a more serious musical storytelling role. Less Ailstorm, more Visions of Atlantis. Here's the best part. I love Ailstorm and I love Visions of Atlantis. I do realize that they're both pirate bands and they are completely different styles. One's comedy. Let's get drunk. Let's have a good time. Party. Hope we don't die. That's Ailstorm. Vision of Atlantis. I've seen them live. It's not just we're a pirate band. No, we are pirates. You can be one too. Let's go. Yarhar, the boat's outside. And you believe it. WindRose is kind of doing both. They are doing I'll say it, even though I know it's a different label. It doesn't matter. When you're talking about Europe and storytelling metal, WindRose is doing Sabaton level storytelling in their videos and their production, but it's the Dwarven fantasy lore that they're putting out. I just want to take Francisco, put him in his battle armor, fly him to San Diego to Comic-Con just so people can go, holy crap, it's real. People do dwarf cosplay all the time at Comic-Con. You see it all the time. I've never seen anybody do it like he does. It's everything about his character says it's real. Does anybody know what the P and the R stands for? Please let me know in the comments below. My name is Old School Nerd, and I have more questions now than I started with. I thought this new album would be like, oh, cool, it's more WindRose. Now I have to know what caused all of this. I have to know, like, was it COVID? Was it the time in COVID, the lockdown in COVID that sparked this creative sense, this evolution of WindRose to this level of being not just one of the different components of Dwarven lore, but from a musical sense and what they're putting out visually, it's right up there. Tolkien, Warcraft Blizzard, Warhammer, you name the fantasy genre that brings forth the dwarven fantasy race culture, WindRose is there. I got to find out more. I thought I could wait, and I can't. Let's find out. No, seriously. I'm going to make a call. Hold on one second. All right. I got to answer all these questions. From the man himself, Francesco, how are you doing, buddy?
Hey, all good. How are you? Thank you for being here.
No. Thank you for being here.
For this opportunity. I mean, I was awaiting so much. I was always watching your reviews, and I said, okay, let's do this interview now. It's funny.
I'm truly honored. Where are you at right now?
To be honest, I'm just outside because I had to go out for the night now. So I'm waiting some people. In the meanwhile, I'm working now, as always.
But you're at home?
I'm outside home, yes.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
outside the restaurant.
Okay, of course. When in Italy, home/restaurant. That's how that works. Okay, so some people may not know who you are, and if the people don't know who you are, then I'm still wondering why they're here. Because if they're watching this right now, we just sat through the new song. We just sat through the new video. And the video left me with more questions than I thought I would answer. And I thought to myself, let's ask the guy in charge here. Let's ask the person behind all this.
Okay.
WindRose, the biggest band of metal dwarves from Italy in the world. Is that a good description of you guys?
The greatest metal band, I don't know, but I mean the greatest dwarf metal band, yes, for sure.
Fair enough. We don't want to. I mean, look, you're in Napalm Records, so we've seen amazing bands up and down the roster. Okay, but you guys are one of the really big ones, and for some of us who love fantasy, who love the lore of the dwarven kind, like myself, you guys are the epitome of this. Now,
Nice.
I just want to tell you how I found you, and then I want you to tell me just a few of the things that we all want to know. I found you a little over a year and a half ago because a young man had two favorite bands, Ailstorm and WindRose. And I was like, I've never heard of either one of these. He goes, you don't understand. They're just like amazing. So we reacted to the first song he asked for ever, WindRose, the digging song, the infamous digging song. Now, the only reason why I'm mentioning that is it introduced me to you guys. But what we didn't realize was you guys were, back in the day, you were very similar to Ailstorm. Ailstorm, pirates, party, dance around, do the fun stuff. It was a fun, comedic, party kind of band. And if everyone is introduced to WindRose as the Diggy Hole band,
Yeah, sure.
they're going to think the same way. But it's dwarves from Warhammer, Warcraft, Middle Earth, all of it. Because you guys kind of touch on everything.
Yeah, sure.
But you guys are doing something different. Completely different now. It's no longer like let's sing about dwarves and mining gems and drinking games. This has become something way beyond that. Can you tell us a little bit about this new album and where you guys have come both musically and visually?
To be honest, I will talk about the technical aspects of the new album later, but let's start talking about the album with this specific name, Warfront.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Warfront obviously talk about wars, but not just army against a army. There are songs about even, for example, the struggle that everyone has in their life, so it's even a war against yourself can be a war against even the struggle, as I say, that you have in life. So it talks about also about emotions, stuff like this. So the thing is that it was not meant to be war front because we wanted to get advantage of the unfortunately of the news around the world. This topic was brought to our mind by the situation that we lived during the pandemic, because we see right now, but we saw a state of emergency in Italy. Italy was very restricted as first country in Europe. So we saw a state of emergency with people panicking in the street, with empty supermarkets. I mean, for us was like an apocalyptic scenario. So it was it was tough, and reminded us of a state of emergency like the war one. It could be a DEFCON, or it could be something like this.
Yeah, I've said this a few times, not just for WindRose, but for a lot of bands, that this pandemic, the lockdowns, to where art, music was being, that was like the least of everyone's worries. So you guys were stuck at home. And look, like you said, you guys are from Pisa, Italy, correct? Italy was, other than China, was ground zero, but ground zero for Europe. I mean, Italy got it right in the gut. I mean, it hit Italy so hard. We here in America, believe me, the plight of Italy was probably the first real impact that we all saw. We were like, wow, how many in Italy? How bad is it in Italy? We were overwhelmed. We were like, oh my God. Like the Italy that we all know, my girlfriend and I, we both have spent time in Italy. We love the people, the architecture, the culture. And when I saw the pandemic unfold and I see the news reports, I'm just thinking all the people, that culture, that art, the music, the food, everything you think of Italy, I'm thinking, how much is going to be left? So I look after the pandemic and I see you guys, and you guys come out with this album. And I'm thinking, these guys must have been at home wondering what the next day held. And I don't think, like you said, the album isn't about a war. And technically, it's not about dwarves either. But you guys do dwarves so well that why not use it as the vehicle to say, hey, you know what we need to do? Coming out of this, we got to band together. We got to stand united. These are all different aspects of every song that I'm catching so far on this album. And I'm like, okay, the message is there. These guys are doing, it's like Sabaton does all these songs, right? And they're all about wars and armies and heroes. But technically it's not. It's about us. It's about getting together and being people together. I'm seeing that in your music. The visualization was always going to be there because we've seen that in a few past albums. But you guys have stepped it up, not just visually. The CGI is amazing, dude. The outfits are amazing. But your music, oh my God, you guys like went to another level musically. You guys have layered your sound in a completely different way and has people thinking like, is this the same band? I mean, how did this come about where you guys have just elevated so much? Is that from the pandemic too? Just building it up?
To be honest, I guess that it's, it's different details, different pieces of the same image that are starting to combine. Because, for example, talking technically, is the second album that we do with Lasse Lammert, from Germany. So this guy was able to improve his idea of the WindRose sound, because he made an album that it has more punchiness, it has more strong vibes, no? Even if the songs um, are chanting brother that recall brotherhood or stuff like this. He put so much heaviness on this album that we really enjoy, and this is the technical aspect of the music. uh, for us, talking about the composition of this song, obviously the pandemic affected us, because instead of find meet in a place or in our studio, we were forced to stay at home. No, so I mean, the mood was not the mood of a party band, to be honest.
No.
For these last 2 years, I mean, we were not expecting. We didn't know what to expect, to be honest. That's the right thing. So we just said, okay, guys, let's go ahead and let's see what we can do now with this new way of composing now for WindRose. And I mean, the idea were always we were always agree on everything, like always. But I guess that we made an album more serious than before. As I said, it's not a party album, it's more solemn, more epic, and it touches different topics, that obviously are not a joke, no, are not a gimmick of something, for fun or stuff like this. That, for example, what was Diggy Diggy All, no? Because I mean, Diggy Diggy All was at the end a joke song, but I mean, we made it with our style, with our in the WindRose style. So I guess that it can. I mean, someone can believe that we are serious, no, with this song, because
there will be no dance remix on Warfront, ladies and gentlemen. That's probably not going to happen. By the way, since I just touched that, whose idea was that? Because that's the number one question I'm asked is, whose idea was it to say, hey, let's do a dance remix in a club with the pimp cups, the throne, the glasses, the dancers, the goblin DJ? Whose idea was it to say, let's just go dance remix with this?
My fault.
That smile on your face before you said it, we knew what it was that. Okay. I do want to share one thing that I've picked up with you, and I want to know if I'm right on this one. Okay. From a Dwarven fantasy role, okay? Some people say it's Warhammer. Some people say it's Middle Earth. Some people say it's kind of like a Blizzard Warcraft. To me, it seems like a little bit of everything. You take the best of everything. But this album, all of your videos, it's not just you now. Like before, it was like, okay, Francesco is going to wear the helmet, which, by the way, that's the most epic Dwarven helmet of all time. And he's going to have the pauldrons, he's going to have the axe. But now you got everybody in on it. And in this first video we saw, it reminded me of the Battle of Helm's Deep. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's dwarves, they're trapped. Well, for Middle Earth it wasn't, but for Helm's Deep, if you think about, they're trapped in their mountain, the armies are under siege, and it's kind of like COVID. You're under siege, you're trapped at home, you can't leave. And this album just comes out with you guys coming out of those big gates, picking up weapons, and it's like, it's time to step out into the sun. It's time to stop being hidden in the shadows. We're no longer going to be oppressed. We're not going to be under siege. We're coming out. We're taking the fight to it. And it seems like every song just amps people up. I said this earlier in this video for the reaction, which I don't think you've seen yet, is that this entire album, before a few songs, you were like, yeah, this would be perfect for this, that, or the other. I see people playing video games, listening to your song in their ears. I see people doing tabletop parties where they're going to play Dungeons and Dragons, and on the playlist, WindRose the whole time. It is so epic that it just makes you want to get up, get the dirt off, and go to war. Not violent war, but war against everything we've faced these last 2 years.
I mean, the message is this, no? When you are trapped, when you are under siege, or you are forced to in a situation that you don't want to live anymore, what you have to do is to go further, no? Because if you hold, if you just freeze and you don't do anything, or you just let the time pass, nothing will change, or at least you will get no benefits from it, no? So the thing is that when you are under pressure, the only thing that you can do is to strike back. That's the message, no? I mean, strike back. The people that is trying to steal your home. I mean, in case of fantasy wars, no? For example, the gates of Akron. Obviously, Akron, it's a fortress that was lost by the dwarves, no? But I mean, they were there finishing the fortress, and they had no other chances than get out and go through the horde of the greenskins coming to get the fortress. So I mean, there were no other choices for them. So I mean, the choice was to lose the battle and just surrender, or fight and maybe lose the battle, or maybe not. Until you don't stop to fight, it's not finished yet, no? So as long as you fight, you are not dead, you are not done. You can strike back the life, you can strike back everything that is afflicting you, that make you feel sad, that make you feel wrong, that make you feel oppressed. You can, but you have to do it by yourself. You cannot wait for other circumstances.
If you take the knee and you don't fight, you'll definitely lose. But as long as you're on your feet and as long as you're moving forward, there's always a chance. Speaking of chances, any chance you guys are gonna come over here, please? Soon, maybe. Hey, Visions of Atlantis came over here a couple months ago. If the Pirates can make it over here, the Dwarves have got to make it happen. There's a lot of your fans here in the U.S. I think the biggest fan in the world is a guy by the name of David Dietz. He's a teenager in Portland, Oregon. So if you guys do come to the U.S., you got to go to at least in the Northwest at least once, so I could tell this kid to go see you, so he can literally lose his mind. I know with this album coming out in just 2 days, it comes out on the 10th. That's the focus. The album's coming out. It's going to be big. What are the plans for live shows for you guys?
Okay, so there is nothing announced yet, but the thing is like this. For the summer, obviously, we will have the normal festivals, Let's say normal, because one of them is Wacken.
There's nothing normal about Wacken. There's nothing normal about that.
There's nothing normal about it, because it's the cradle of metal, no? So, I mean, we are super excited to be there. And I mean, there is nothing announced yet, but the manager and the promotion agency that is behind us told us some plans for North Europe and for North America, so United States and South America as well.
We don't know yet. But that side of the world, we'll say hopefully. Now, specific dates and times and cities, that will all come when it happens. It'll happen. Like I said,
as long as we get the visas, we come for sure.
Oh, I know, right? Oh my God. And it's not easy lately, but I do know, I think there's hope when you see a band like Visions of Atlantis, who's similar to WindRose, both in Napalm, both themed. One's pirate, one's dwarf, both from Europe. You're thinking, you know what? With the right combination, the right team up with the right other bands, something can happen. And if it does, I can promise you, if you're even close, you'll see this idiot in the crowd. I will be there.
Sure. The thing is that in 2019 there was a plan to come to North America, but the visas were refused 2 times. No, so if we tried once again, the problem at that time was that if you got refused for the second times or the third time, you got a ban for 5 years, stuff like this.
You have to be very careful. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be careful with the visas.
Well, and that's, you know what, that's a management issue. That's a promoter issue. You have nothing to do with that. They need to do their good work to get you guys over here. Okay, so we just saw this last video, and I have to say, and I said this during the video, if I could, even if we couldn't get you a visa to come and tour, I would just want to take your happy ass with your full setup, send you to Comic-Con in San Diego just so you could walk around and everyone go, oh my God, that is the most perfect representation of a dwarf I've ever seen. Because people do it. People dress up, they cosplay. Yeah, I've never seen anyone own it the way you do. Nobody is as perfect for that as you do. It's crazy.
But to be honest, in Comic-Con, I've seen a lot of costumes that probably are better than mine. I mean, there's people very professional in this.
Costumes, yes. But Francesco, dude.
Francesco, there is just one.
Yeah, but okay. But you have a band. You have videos and epic CGI videos. But here's the thing. The second most requested question that people ask is, how tall are you?
I know in meters, because
that's
Italy,
fine. Meters is fine. It's okay.
I'm 170.
Okay, so you're not a dwarf at all.
No, I mean I'm 170. I'm pretty short.
Well, you're not. I mean, 170 is not that short. I mean,
no, I mean it's for nowadays. Probably the new generation are taller than me now. So
if you were Dutch, you'd be short, because those guys are all beanstalks. We know about that. If you go to the Netherlands or you go to Amsterdam, you're like, oh, I'd go there, and I'm like,
yeah.
How do they hang themselves and stretch it? I don't know. It's weird. So okay.
For Italians and French, you said you are French, no? So,
yeah.
Or you have French heritage, or you are
French heritage.
Okay.
My last name is straight up French.
Okay, so I mean, for French Italian people, I guess it's a normal height, no? But for example, if you go in Germany, they are taller than you. If you go in Austria, maybe they are mixed.
Yeah.
You know, it depends. The more you go in the north, the more they are higher.
Yeah, and like the fair hair and just I guess it's because they don't get as much like of that sun. Like the Mediterranean is it's tropical, it's beautiful, it's, you know, the odds of you guys are never gonna have snow, so that's cool. But here, by the way, for those who are wondering, I did the conversion. He's 5'6", so that's pretty average for America. That's, you walk around and you're not a dwarf here, so you're fine. Just come on over. Okay, so I guess the last thing that I want to let you do is let you get the last word about the album. What the message you want to share. If you want to give anyone any ideas of what you guys have went through for this process, and I'm going to let you get the last word. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Francesco, the lead singer of the mighty WindRose, Dwarven metal epic of the world band. We haven't come up with the phrasing yet, but we're going to get it down. We have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay. The stage is yours, sir.
So if you like the singles that they are out now on Napalm Records, and if you will like the videos and all the news that will come online, you know, and will be released on their channel, just don't stop. My advice is to don't stop to these candies, you know, because the singles are the candies. But in my opinion, if you will listen the whole album, you will see a lot of faces, a lot of colors, a lot of details of WindRose that you don't expect, because some songs were not chosen as singles in terms of length or stuff like this. So I mean, in the longer song that they were not chosen for singles, as a singles, you will find your WindRose style that you're looking for.
Awesome. So just because they're not short enough to be the video singles,
yeah, sure,
maybe they might kind of like Rush. Remember, with all the most famous songs of Rush are the epics. Why? They have more room to tell the story. All right.
Yeah, it's true.
I appreciate you so much.
9 minutes. I mean, they are too long. But in my opinion, they are the most interesting of the album. So I invite everyone to check them out. Okay.
Well, I ordered the box set. I pre-ordered. So when it comes in, yeah, I'm gonna put it on the turntable over there and play it old school style. All right, nice. Francesco, thank you so much for your time and answering the questions of a nerd myself. Thank you for being the best dwarf metal band leader that we've ever seen. We appreciate everything you guys do for this new album, the work you put in, the complexity of the music. And you know what? Your music used to be like a really good pizza. Now it's like a big fat lasagna. You guys have so many layers musically. If you listen, you hear so many little things you guys are putting in there. It is a fuller sound. Love all of that. Thank you for what you guys do. Glad you guys made it through the pandemic. Blessings on you and your family. I hear people in the background, and I hope you guys have an amazing summer. And I would expect, sir, an Instagram message, because you have my address now.
Okay.
I want to be the first one. Hey, dude, I'm coming to America, and this is where we're going. Meet me up. Okay. We're going.
Okay.
I'm Old School Nerd. That's the man, Francesco. Thank you, sir. I appreciate everything you do. All right. Look.
See you next time.
Absolutely.